saw him play when he was in grammar school, and I really liked his game a lot, and I knew that he would be one of the better players I'll ever coach. He was being courted by some parochial schools, and I was very happy to hear the news that he was going to stay with his public school. He was my first player that I ever brought up as a freshman to varsity, and the first player, even the coach before me who was here for 17 years, he never brought up a freshman to varsity either. So that was to tell you just how special he was. His ability to knock down an open shot was different than any kid I had. Physically, he was also bigger and stronger as a guard, as a freshman, than many of the seniors I even had at that time. So there was zero hesitation for me to pull the trigger on that. And he certainly hasn't disappointed. He's lived up to everything I thought he would. 6'3" guard. As I said, very strong, very physical, and that's, it's just the way he's been since freshman year. He's always had a great athletic frame, and he works hard at it to improve it, but he's a gifted kid. He's just a competitive kid. He doesn't like losing. He doesn't like failing. And that's something that I don't always see in kids anymore. I don't know if it's everyone gets a trophy thing kind of took that away, but it bothers him to not succeed. And and because of that, I believe he succeeds more times than not. He, as a guard, is one of our best rebounders. He was by far our best offensive rebounder. And to get that out of your best three-point shooter, usually those guys will hang out around the outside and don't like to mix it up. And he's big enough and strong enough where he did. So I think it goes to his competitive nature and not necessarily against anyone else, but more so just pushing himself to be the best he can be. Well, number one, he's a very intelligent kid academically, and that translates also into basketball. He's, if not my best student, my second best student. He works very hard at everything that he does. There's nothing that he, gives anything less than what he has. And yes, he's not a showy player at all. He's more of a fundamental player. He's more of a, if this is what I'm told to do, this is what I'm going to do. Sometimes he's too selfless. If he's open, I've given him a green light, and I told him, if anyone's further than a foot away from you, you better be shooting. And sometimes he's hesitant just because he is a team player, and he would like to give it up and make the extra pass. And this year, I think he's embraced more, because even on a senior dominant team, there's 9 seniors this year, they've all really told him we need you to shoot if we're going to win. And so he's embraced it more this year than he has in the past. He averaged 12 points a game through 14 games. His season had been shortened because of getting mono. He was averaging 5 rebounds a game, just under 3 assists per game. And he has 22 three-pointers, in which he was 22 for 53, so just over 40% from 3. And he was 27 for 35, which is 77% from the foul line. The points per game is skewed a little bit just because I put him in last night's game for about 3 minutes just to get his legs back. Early on in the season, one of our seniors who I would have probably penciled in as our leading scorer was out for the first 5 games. And Nick, over that stretch, actually came off the bench and averaged 16 a game in his absence. In that Christmas tournament, he wound up hitting a 3 to force overtime. And for a junior to take the shot that he took on a senior-dominated team in clutch and in crunch time, I was so impressed with him in that tournament. And my parents were at that game, and at that tournament, they too said, "Boy, who is that?" They just liked the way he carried himself and represented everything that we were trying to do. So It's the little things that I think he brings to the table on a nightly basis that I'm certainly proud of having him represent myself and my program and his teammates. Defensively, he's an intelligent player, and he tends to be in the right place at the right time. As a guard, he's often asked to guard quicker kids, so he's really made strides in that area, and I know it's something that even going forward, he's going to continue to work and get better. He makes up for knowing where he's supposed to be or where that person's going to try to beat him to that spot. So he certainly compensates for any flaws that he might have, and he works daily to improve it. You can have all the talent in the world, but that's not going to help a coach if you don't have the ability to listen and to improve. And that's something that Nick has always, I think, really strived on, was that he listens to every word you say, and he'll do to the best of his effort to improve on what you're trying to teach him. There's zero attitude ever. I've never had him roll his eyes. I've never had him talk back. He just does what's asked of him, and sometimes it's just getting him to believe that he can do it. I think sometimes he surprises himself, and then once he gets there, he flourishes. So, I mean, he's certainly coachable. As I said, he's just a joy to have around. He's a great athlete. For me personally as a coach, I really enjoy having the great athletes. This year, more so than anything else, I noticed coming from soccer, where he had a terrific year as a defenseman, his physicality, it really improved. And I think that was the biggest translation that I like to see from soccer to the basketball court, was his willingness and his ability to mix it up in the paint and not be afraid to get into the middle of things. And that's where I saw the translation from one sport to the other, more so than anything else. For our team to be successful, he's a big part of it. And next year, the offense is going to run through him. I expect that his numbers will be very high next year. I would think more in the 16 to 20 points per game is not out of the realm of possibility. We can talk about points and we can talk about rebounds. It's the intangible stuff that really you can't necessarily get from everybody. And just the coachability or trying to react to maybe what other team's doing. Not everybody has that ability, but because of his court presence and his intelligence, he always kind of gets it. So I know for us to be successful, we need him. I'm happy he's coming back, and I'm more than happy that he's only a junior. I think he'll have a terrific senior year. I think his ability to shoot the three at a high percentage, I think he could be a good addition to any team. And the fact that he is big and strong, I think that he would be certainly an asset for many college teams. I actually scouted the other night, and I looked at a kid who's being touted as a Division I player. And I actually made a comment to the coach I was with. I said, if I was recruiting him, I'd walk out of the gym right now. And it was just because of the way the kid carried himself. And for me, the difference between Nick and that kid was probably a better basketball player. But I could tell he wasn't a better person, and if I had my druthers, I would take Nick in a heartbeat. A flat-out terrific kid.